Handstanding has always been on my fitness bucket list, and one of the reasons is because I've always thought it'd be really cool to do one on a beach with the backdrop of the waves crashing by the sand. Instead, I got the downgraded version of this. I've even censored out my butt, not because you can see anything, but just because I want the attention to be on the handstand hold and the skill itself as opposed to my big round butt taking up the whole page, and it looks a bit thirst trappy. Anyway, let's begin the workout. I start off by warming up the wrists, essential if we're doing handstands, and then pretend I'm 5 years old and try out a few cartwheels to familiarise myself with the feeling of being upside down. This stag pose with my legs bent but far apart is the one that I find easiest because I can balance the weight of my body forwards and backwards. I also take advantage that I'm in a hot, sunny place and therefore don't need to warm up as much and can jump in straight to this handstand hold because my spine has the flexibility to curve to enable me to balance in this position. That doesn't mean I still don't find it uncomfortable, but I wanted to take the videos because I think this handstand hold on the beach looks very aesthetic. I exaggerate the arch on my spine by doing a full walkover. I still need to practice these because I can't quite stand up at the end or stand up nicely at all. But I get up on this attempt. These videos really show you how I'm a self-taught adult gymnast with no childhood gymnastic background. I start off nice and simple with 10 classic push-ups where I keep my core tensed, elbows tucked in, not flared either side, and try not to drop my hips as I get more fatigued with the reps. Next, 3 sets of 8 pike push-ups. I've provided 2 videos of me doing 2 different sets. On the left you can see a more advanced version where my hands are closer to my feet, meaning I have to fight gravity further and therefore it's harder to complete the rep, whereas on the right my hands are further away from my feet, making it easier. Remember, with all these, elbows should be tucked in and not flared. Pike push-ups are fantastic for gaining that essential shoulder strength that you need to hold a handstand. I have a slight banana shape to my straight leg handstand hold, and the only reason I can maintain this is because I have the adequate shoulder strength. Ideally, I should be completely straight, but I'm still learning. Carrying on with the push-up variations, I then complete 3 sets of 8 clap push-ups. I always try and include a set of explosive plyometric exercises to whatever workout I'm doing. I'm not sure what these type of push-ups are that I'm doing, but I do like exercises which work the right and the left side individually with each rep, so I included these. If anyone knows what they're called, please write them in the comments. I'm sure I didn't invent them myself. It's essentially a classic push-up, but every time you go down you lean to the right or the left side and alternate. Like archer push-ups, I think these would be great to build the strength to eventually do a one-arm push-up. One day, eh? Handstand holds also require you to have a strong core, and what better way to build your core than these up and down planks. Now, love them or hate them, these are going to be your best friend at making that core nice and strong. I didn't count how many times I went up and down, but I did 3 sets of these for 30 seconds. Your girl is dead! To finish up, I felt creative, so I did all the different types of push-up variations I could, starting with this clenched fist variation of push-up. I only did 5 reps of each because, as you can see, I'm starting to get tired. My hips are starting to drop a little bit and form is suffering. However, if you can do more sets of these, then by all means be my guest. The next variation is the Russian push-up. I attempt 5 reps of these again, where I slide down onto my elbows and back up again onto my wrists to complete this variation of push-up. I do these way better at the gym. I saved the hardest for almost last by completing these Superman push-ups. These are normally my speciality, but I am so tired at this point. I do complete my 5 reps of it, but even though I am explosive, my arms are nowhere near as high as they need to be for this. And the last push-up variation is the diamonds. I mean, I could barely complete one. My hips were so low, it was just not worth carrying on. And that, for me, was my body telling me the workout is done. As if my shoulders weren't dead enough at this point, I went on to complete some crow poses. I find it quite easy to balance on my bent elbows, but I want to perfect this skill and get a crane pose. This is a progression of the crow pose where your arms are completely straight and your knees are balancing inside your armpits, which requires not only strength but the mobility to hold this pose. Knees are in armpits, but they slide down my arms and I end up balancing somewhere between my elbows and my armpits. But I'm not a quitter, so I try again. This is my 3rd attempt. I think I do a better job at trying to keep my knees higher up on my arm because I focus on keeping my arms as straight as I can, but I end up sliding down again. I'm blaming it on the fact that my arms are full with a mixture of sweat and sun cream at this point, so very slippery. After a few crow and crane poses, ooh, that's a tongue twister, I decide to squat for a little bit. It looks a bit strange, but one of the reasons it does look strange from the side is because my back is super rounded, as I'm not as flexible as I thought I would be. I try and stretch open my knees using my elbows and open up my spine by twisting it either side. I can't tell you how good these stretches feel when your back feels stiff, especially if you've been sitting on a chair for hours on end. Everyone should aim for the mobility to be able to stand up without assistance of your arms from the squatting position, and also good ankle mobility by completing these little tiptoe exercises in the squat position. Good to help alleviate tight Achilles problems. Now, I mentioned earlier I have a little trouble opening up my shoulders in the handstand position. This next demonstration that I do with a bottle of water, you guys can always use a dumbbell at the gym, is a great exercise to really open up those shoulders and gain that straight alignment that you so need for a straight vertical handstand position. Make sure to keep that posterior pelvic tilt to remain straight without an arched back. For a good long handstand hold, we not only want to focus on having strong shoulders, but we should have a strong core. This exercise is fantastic for building that strong core foundation that you need. Arms closer to knees make it easier, arms closer to the ankles make it much harder. You can also make it harder by splitting your legs into this straddle position and attempting to lift one leg at a time, or placing your hands in the middle and attempting to lift both legs up. Killer. Here's a feeble floor L-sit attempt before I called it a day and moved on to do what I was really there to do on the beach. Some handstands. I started off with the easiest pose that I find for me personally, which is the stag pose, where both of my legs are split and bent. I had attempted a few of these even before my workout, but I felt that I could balance a little bit better having done the mobility and shoulder exercises. The long holds during this session were becoming more frequent. I got a few curious people looking as well. And I was getting regular 10 to 15 second stag pose handstands. In between my sets, I made sure that I stretched out my neck. It was getting quite stiff, especially the traps. It almost looks like I have a tic. Anyway, back to it. On this attempt, I actively kept my back straighter and lowered that front leg as much as I could. Reason being, I'd love to balance in a tuck handstand one day. I know I'm only doing it with one leg, it's supposed to be both, but this is a screenshot to how the shapes looked. People at the beach were not only curious, but I even got some congratulate me and start conversations about how they wanted to learn to handstand. I played around with different handstand shapes like this diamond, horizontal split legs, basically trying to balance holding the splits upside down. This one's really cool if you've got the flexibility to be completely horizontal. I got a nice 12-second hold here. I do have several videos if you'd like to learn more about how to hold a handstand and my own self-taught journey of how I got here, so you too can learn to make nice shapes while balancing on your hands in the sand on a beach. Who needs to sunbathe on the beach when you can handstand?